As a recent nursing school graduate, Maria was thrilled to land her first job at the prestigious St. Joseph's Hospital. Her duties were simple enough: assist doctors and nurses on the wards, help with patient care, and learn as much as she could from the experienced staff. But Maria quickly realized that there was something strange going on at the hospital. Whenever she asked about the basement, everyone seemed to clam up and avoid the subject. It was as if there was something they didn't want her to know. Determined to find out what was going on, Maria decided to investigate. She waited until everyone had left for the day and made her way down to the basement, her heart racing with excitement and fear. As she descended the stairs, the air grew musty and the light grew dim. She could hear the faint sound of machinery in the distance and the rustling of rats in the corners of the room. Then she saw it: a large metal door with a single padlock securing it. Maria's curiosity got the better of her, and she picked the lock with a hairpin. As the door creaked open, she was hit with a wave of putrid air. Inside the room, she found a series of dark, dank corridors leading off into the darkness. She followed them, using her phone as a flashlight, and soon discovered a large room filled with cages. At first, she thought they were for animals, but as she got closer, she realized that there were human beings inside them. Some of them barely conscious, others screaming and begging for help. Maria was horrified. She knew she had stumbled upon something terrible, and she knew she had to get out of there before she was discovered. But as she turned to leave, a hand grabbed her ankle, and she looked down to see one of the captives staring up at her with pleading eyes. She knew then that she couldn't leave them behind. With shaking hands, Maria unlocked the cages and led the prisoners to safety. They were malnourished, sick, and traumatized, but they were alive. Maria called the police, and an investigation was launched. It turned out that the hospital had been using the basement as a secret experimental ward, where they performed gruesome medical experiments on unwilling human subjects. Maria was hailed as a hero for uncovering the truth and saving the captives. But she knew that the memories of what she had seen would haunt her for the rest of her life. As she descended the stairs, she could feel the temperature dropping rapidly. The light from her phone was the only source of illumination, and it seemed to cast strange shadows on the walls. Suddenly, she heard a faint whisper coming from somewhere in the darkness. It was so soft that she couldn't make out what was being said, but it sent a chill down her spine. She hesitated for a moment, wondering if she should turn back. But her curiosity got the best of her, and she continued on. As she got closer to the bottom of the stairs, she could hear the whispering more clearly. It sounded like a group of people speaking in hushed tones, but she couldn't see anyone around. Then she saw it: a door partially hidden behind a stack of old boxes and covered in cobwebs. It was the only source of sound she could hear. She slowly approached the door, feeling a sense of foreboding creeping over her. As she reached out to touch the handle, the whispering suddenly stopped, and everything fell silent. Taking a deep breath, she pushed the door open. What she saw inside made her blood run cold. The room was filled with strange, occult symbols and eerie objects, and in the middle of the room stood a group of people, dressed in black robes and chanting in a language she didn't understand. She wanted to run, to scream for help, but she was paralyzed with fear. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Suddenly, one of the robed figures turned and saw her standing there. The chanting stopped, and all eyes were on her. In that moment, she knew she had to get out of there as fast as she could. She turned and ran up the stairs, heart pounding in her chest. She burst into the hallway, gasping for breath, and looked around frantically. She didn't know who to trust or who to turn to. The young woman had stumbled upon something dark and sinister in the basement of the hospital, something that she was never meant to see. And now she feared for her life. Samantha shuddered as she thought about what could be lurking in the shadows. She tried to shake off her fear and turned her flashlight back on. She cautiously stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. As she moved deeper into the darkness, she heard a faint sound in the distance. It was a low, guttural growl, and it was coming from the other side of the room. Samantha froze in terror as she realized that she was not alone in the basement. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a tall, gaunt man with pale skin and sunken eyes. His hair was wild and tangled, and he wore a tattered hospital gown. Samantha tried to scream, but no sound came out. The man lunged at her with bony fingers, and she felt his icy grip around her neck. She struggled to break free, but he was too strong. Just as Samantha thought she was about to meet her end, the basement door burst open, flooding the room with light. Several security guards rushed in, guns drawn. The man let go of Samantha and turned to face the guards. They fired several shots, and the man fell to the ground. Samantha was trembling and gasping for air, but she was alive. The guards helped her to her feet and escorted her out of the basement. As she walked back to her office, Samantha knew that she had uncovered a dark secret that the hospital had been keeping hidden for years. She decided to do some digging of her own and uncovered a terrifying conspiracy involving illegal medical experiments and secret testing on human subjects. Samantha knew she had to expose the truth, no matter the cost, and she vowed to never forget the horror she had witnessed in the hospital basement that fateful night. As she approached the basement door, she felt a chill run down her spine. The door was old and rusty, and she could hear strange noises coming from behind it. She hesitated for a moment, but her curiosity got the best of her, and she slowly opened the door. The first thing she noticed was the smell, a sickly sweet odor that made her gag. Then she saw the rows of jars lining the shelves, each filled with a strange liquid and containing what looked like human organs. Her heart racing, she took a step closer and saw a piece of paper taped to one of the jars. As she read the words scrawled in shaky handwriting, she felt a wave of terror wash over her. The note revealed that the hospital had been involved in a series of illegal experiments on patients, using their organs to create new life forms. The experiments had been kept hidden from the public, and the basement had been used as a secret laboratory. As she stood there in shock, she heard footsteps coming down the stairs. She turned to run, but it was too late. The hospital staff had caught her, and they weren't going to let her leave with the knowledge of their dark secret. She was never seen again, and the hospital continued its horrific experiments in the basement, hidden from the world.